Hello everybody, welcome to AC Security. My name is Dinan Paardenkoper. I am a cloud architect at IT Impressive. And today we have a new topic which we're going to explain together with Sebastiaan Drinkenburg. Sebastiaan, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks for inviting me.
Welcome.
Sebastiaan Drinkenburg, Senior Solution Cloud and AI Solution Engineer at Microsoft. And today we're going to discuss the world of AI applications and the security of that.
Yes, definitely. I almost forgot to say that. But yeah, how do we going to protect all our AI workloads in all the types of forms that they are nowadays? And how long do you work in this scene already at Microsoft?
So at Microsoft for 4 years, but generally in security, probably 15 plus years. At Microsoft, I had roles focused on multi-cloud security, but also SIEM, XDR, and this year I will be most focused on AI security. So very in line with the topic of today.
Amazing. Yeah, great. And what are you going to tell us for today, especially?
Yeah, so I will start sharing my screen so everybody can and see what we are going to have a look at. The topic for today, like we mentioned, is going to be focused on securing AI applications, and then primarily the ones that are running on Azure Cloud, but also for multi-cloud. So why is this topic important? Because AI is a major push within Microsoft. We obviously have Copilot, Security Copilot. We have Copilot capabilities within Azure platform, but we also leverage Copilot within GitHub. That is, however, not what we are going to talk about today, because this is more focused on AI models or applications that customers can build themselves and host within Azure, AWS, or GCP. That is basically what we're going to have a look at today.
All right.
And yeah, so I will just move on to the next slide because you did see a little mention of Defender for Cloud. I just want to give a quick overview for the ones that are not familiar with Defender for Cloud to understand that it's not only related to AI security, because Defender for Cloud, as the name already entails, it protects the cloud. And it does that in four core phases of services that you can run on cloud, but also multi-cloud. So Defender for Cloud, even though it is part of Azure, it is also capable of protecting multi-cloud resources and other cloud providers such as AWS and GCP. And what we do in that space with Defender for Cloud, we basically help organizations understand what they are designing, because currently most of the infrastructure components or services that you are developing will be pushed to the cloud by leveraging infrastructure as code templates. So that automated process is now, let's say, the origin of a lot of cloud security issues. And that's why Defender for Cloud plays a role in understanding what are you programming as a developer, how weak is it, and how is it pushed to the cloud as an actual application or service, including, of course, AI, but also very much focused on the traditional cloud resources such as storage accounts, virtual compute, virtual networking, and so on. And that basically then relates to the middle two one, so configuration drift and compliance and risk. Those are primarily related on assessing the configuration of your runtime environment. So if you are deploying a virtual compute or a storage account, you probably want to harden it in a certain way. Things change over time. So does my storage account, is it still configured in the same way as we wanted it to be in the beginning? And is it still at the same secure level as we intended it to be? Basically, in a nutshell, that is what we are doing with the posture management and also the identity, the entitlement management capabilities. And then in the last part, there's this runtime protection capability. So here we are more monitoring resources during runtime, during operation, and understanding what kind of telemetry is going in and out, and are there any suspicious patterns that may tell us that, hey, this resource is actually under attack and we should generate an alert for it, with maybe addressed by the application owner, but typically that is more addressed by a security operations team that can leverage different Microsoft tooling such as SIEM, Sentinel, of course in our case, but also Defender XDR, or they may push it into third-party SIEM solutions like QRadar or Splunk or something else. So that is a little bit of an oversight of Defender for Cloud all up. And then we will discuss a little bit why this is relevant for, let's say, the new AI capability, which are AI applications on Azure and non-Azure platforms. And you will see, for the ones that are working in security, that the customer issues are very, very similar to the ones that you would find in traditional infrastructure components. And so once you are building an AI application, it will need to learn and basically reason on data. So understanding what kind of information your AI application is consuming for the grounding process, for the learning process, is very important. But as well on a interaction with the AI application, does it maybe expose data that you weren't intending to allow access to through the AI application that you're building? So that's very, very quickly about why data leakage is important. And we will address a little bit how we are helping customers in that space. And then basically the second pillar is all about vulnerabilities. And so most of you watching will be familiar with infrastructure vulnerabilities, outdated software, CVE, CWE rating, and so on and so on. The same exists for AI applications, of course. As LLM models are being developed, vulnerabilities are detected, and also vulnerabilities in the underlying services that actually house the AI application can also occur. So an AI application typically runs on, for example, Kubernetes cluster. The Kubernetes cluster can be vulnerable because it contains an image that runs vulnerable software. And so it is both related to the traditional infrastructure components and as well the new components that make up our AI applications and agents. The last two basically discuss the understanding of usage of LLM and AI and models. So like in the past, we were telling organizations, hey, you have to know what kind of infrastructure components you're running, because what you don't know is a blind spot, and then you can also not assess them correctly. For AI, it's exactly the same. An organization needs to have a bird's eye overview of all the AI components that they are running. Why? Because within many organizations, teams may be enabling AI or AI applications, whereas the architecture team is actually not aware of them. So they cannot enforce the same security rules as they are currently doing on known, let's say, expected infrastructure components. And then the last, of course, is related to compliance. We have very new regulatory compliance requirements such as DORA, NIS2, but also the EU AI Act. And they all start to include new hardening requirements that are specifically targeted on AI applications and the components that make up an AI application. And so that are both basically very, four core issues that we are seeing, which we are positioning Defender for Cloud to assist customers with. And that basically moves into using Defender for Cloud, but also other components that we offer as Microsoft, such as Purview, but also Entra, to protect an AI application within, on those four capabilities, within each layer of its development. And with that, I basically mean the following, is that when we are looking at end-to-end AI application security, you basically have to start with the beginning. So start secure, and then obviously you have to stay secure. And when we are talking about starting secure, if you think about, the first slide that I showed you, the little four pillars, then DevOps or SecDevOps was a major part of it. And so the same with AI applications, they are delivered through code to the cloud, but they can also be developed with solutions such as AI Foundry, MSM Bedrock, or Vertex AI. So we also need to be able to understand what you're building in those capabilities and map them against hardening recommendations as applications are basically getting designed. Later on, I will show you in a demo really what I mean with that, but that's really where we play a role in the start secure with deploying AI applications or designing them,
Yeah.
right? Because at the end of the day, when we are talking about stay secure, it's very much about measuring your current posture, so hardening recommendations, but as well the runtime protection capability. So, hey, is my AI application under threat because somebody trying to do a jailbreak attempt or trying to intend to poison my data, or maybe even trying to use my AI application for other AI purposes for which it was not intended to. So basically, they are spending money on my end to leverage AI capabilities. And so those are all examples that play a role when we are looking at runtime. Everything still clear up till now?
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Well, then I already mentioned this, and then we will dive quickly into the demo part, which is obviously the nicer part of the presentation. But I thought this one would be interesting to see because it really emphasizes on the layered approach of security, which is obviously always a fact within protecting cloud and non-cloud environments. But you also see how it is related to AI applications. Because, like I mentioned, if we go to the bottom, you see Azure DevOps, GitHub Enterprise, container registries. Those are typically related to the design phase. So you're either developing supporting infrastructure components for your AI application, then we can hook in with DevOps, Defender for DevOps, in that layer to understand what is the developer coding and does it comply with hardening recommendations that you want to measure yourself against. So infrastructure as code, best practices, dependency vulnerabilities, secrets that may actually be stored within your code, etc., etc. If that is getting deployed, it will end up becoming either data components or compute resources. And so it can be a Kubernetes cluster that later is used to process an AI application. It can be a storage account that will actually contain data that the AI application is using for grounding, but also for reasoning. And so these natural cloud components are suddenly used in the content of an AI application. And that's then what has changed basically is that we have added the AI component to Defender for Cloud, meaning that we can do the same hardening checks on the supporting infrastructure components, which we were already doing. But then we can also measure the security on specific resources that are AI application specific. So AI Foundry, Azure AI Search, machine learning components, OpenAI on Azure, etc., to help customers understand, did we configure these components as secure as possible to help us mitigate the risk? So typically when we are talking to existing customers, they already leverage Defender for Cloud to protect their data, compute, and code sites. As they are basically embracing AI and they are playing around with AI applications, or they are mature and they already have AI applications in production, then they can basically leverage the existing suite by enabling it existing and new runtime capabilities to deliver end-to-end AI application security.
Cool.
But yeah, enough talking. Let's show what we mean, and then I will just shift over. If it's correct, you will see my Defender for Cloud dashboard now, right? So Perfect. So in this environment is pretty small because basically it has just contains some Azure subscriptions and it has some information in it, but it will be sufficient to help you understand what we are doing on both the stay secure and or start secure, I must say, and then the stay secure part. If we start with the start secure part, then you see that here I have the Defender for Cloud DevOps blades. And the Defender for Cloud DevOps blades allows you to integrate with GitHub, Azure DevOps, but also GitLab, and as well specific pipeline technologies such as Jenkins or Bitbucket or Bamboo. And we do that in order to scan those environments for specific potential vulnerabilities. So code issues, security findings such as keys that may be left in code somewhere, vulnerabilities on a dependency level, but as well then infrastructure as code issues. And these infrastructure as code issues, of course, they are also represented as findings. And then each of those findings is classified based on a criticality level. And then you will be able to go into the details of those issues and understand how you should modify your code in order to prevent that. And so this could be a good tool for developers or maybe platform teams to get that insight and to understand, hey, what kind of secrets are we actually exposing into our code? Or what kind of dependency vulnerabilities are we running because we are allowing vulnerable container images to be pushed into our environment? And so that's one part of the, let's say, start secure capability. Now, what was specifically added for AI is the capability of putting Defender for Cloud and making it part of the AI Foundry capabilities. And so here I am in the AI Foundry Blade, and you will see that I have two components, an Azure OpenAI and an Azure AI Foundry created AI application. It doesn't matter which one I open. You will see that they will both have a security blade that will directly show you what kind of hardening issues have been detected by Defender for Cloud that are related to your AI capabilities. And so here you already have an understanding, even if you are not a security person or a security platform person, you can go to your resource and have a general understanding, hey, my hardening issues are the following. And then even if there is an alert, you could see if your AI application is currently under attack.
Nice.
But where it really becomes nice is that when we are going into the AI Foundry portal, which is really, let's say, the developer part of an AI application. And so AI Foundry allows organizations to design open AI capabilities. And so here is where they will choose a certain model. They would determine what kind of AI it is. Is it a chatbot? Is it an assistant? Does it process video? And so on and so on. But the important part here is that we have guardrails and control. And guardrails and control allow organizations to have default granular control on how they would like the AI component to act on a data sensitivity, but also on a hardening capability. And with what I mean with that is the following. So here, for example, in AI Foundry, you see that we have a content filtering capability, which will allow you to specify what kind of categories you do not want the AI application to accept or to respond with. And so if you are preventing violence, for example, you could say, hey, we want to ensure that the AI application does not talk about a violent behavior, or we wanted it to block during the prompt if you are trying to do a jailbreak or you are doing certain attacks, we want to annotate and block. And so here you have certain choices saying, well, we're just going to annotate or we're going to also block the activity. Then one of the other items that you see here is that you have the possibility to determine a block list capability. And this block list capability will allow you to specify certain text components that can either be regex based or an exact match. So here, for example, I have a regex of a IP address, IP4. So whenever my chatbot would be used, for example, to potentially ask for IP addresses, which may be sensitive, let's say internal IP addresses, the AI application will actually deny that. And then finally, you see that here we have the Defender for Cloud recommendations already available. So even if you are just designing an AI application, as the resources exist as a cloud resource, we can already tell you, hey, by the way, you're working on this. There are actually some components that are not well configured, and you could improve them in order to uplift your security of your AI application. So that is basically how we are helping organizations to protect AI during the design phase of the capability.
One question, Sebastian.
Yeah, sure.
So the last one what you've shown, which was explaining you have to do this, 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 is that the same as that you view that in Defender for Cloud?
No. Well, yes, the recommendations are exactly the same. So these components, these are coming from Defender for Cloud.
Right.
So that is exactly correct. You will see that if I now move back, let's say, to the Defender for Cloud blade, you will see that within the recommendation blades, you will have exactly the same recommendations.
And those
Yeah.
recommendations is it from the Microsoft Security Benchmark? From where?
Well, I actually wanted to show you that because a very, very good question. This is part of certain baselines. So within Defender for Cloud, those are called initiatives. So here, if I would, for example, click on initiative and search for AI, you see that they may actually come from an AI EU Act authoritative document. But they are indeed as well hardening recommendations that may come from the Microsoft Security Benchmark. But if you are looking at more, let's say, EU regulation or CIS-based recommendations, then those are dedicated initiatives that you can enable and then use to assess your hardening against.
Cool. Yeah, that was exactly my question, indeed.
Yeah. So I actually do think that here you see Azure AI services resources should use Azure Private Link. Then I guess here you would see a very similar Azure AI service should use Azure Private Link.
Yes.
So you can see that because I have configured the EU Act to test my environment, I can already see that recommendation here, but as well within the dedicated blade, which the AI application owner is probably most likely going to leverage.
Okay. Are there specific limitations now known which is not covered yet in the AI component of Defender for Cloud?
Yeah, so on a posture perspective, we basically provide protection for Azure, AWS, and GCP. However, on the runtime protection part, we currently only have the capability available for Azure.
Okay.
So later on, as we are going to talk about alerts and how we generate them, that is currently only available for Azure platform, so Azure OpenAI, AI Foundry. But we are also going to extend that to multi-cloud. And also another topic that we will add is the security of AI applications amongst themselves. Because now, if we are looking at the protection on the runtime protection, it is focused on the prompts that are going and returning from to an AI, OpenAI capability. Whereas customers could also deploy multiple agents that communicate together. We are also going to provide a runtime protection capability for that.
Okay.
Yes. So I will just continue a little bit with the stay secured part. So now we already addressed it a little bit on the recommendation perspective, but just a few items that I want to show you is that within Defender for Cloud, like we mentioned, we are covering, let's say, the ordinary components, but we also group them. So this is based on risk factors that we are adding on each and every resource. So here, if I zoom in a little bit, you will see that risk factors can be that a resource contains a verified secret, it contains sensitive data, it is vulnerable, it is exposed to the internet, it would allow lateral movement, etc., etc. So those are all, let's say, components that Defender for Cloud is able to detect, and that would allow us to reprioritize a compliance recommendation and map that to a cyber risk level, meaning that we help organizations address the most critical hardening issues first that have the potential to do the biggest harm to the organization. And
Yeah,
so
I
that is
think
that
that's
is important.
also great functionality. So at least as from an organization perspective, you can tackle the most critical ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And then what we also do in that regards is that we are helping the security team a bit better. And with that, I mean leveraging attack paths, because traditionally security teams are not so fond of compliancy because they consider it to be a tick in the box and not really providing security. And they may actually have a good sense there. And that is also why we are adding attack paths, because then we can tell the security team, hey, be aware, if you leave a certain application or system vulnerable, it may have a potential impact, a negative impact on a resource where this case is related to your AI applications. And this has, for example, to do with permissions. So this internal system has permissions to actually interact with the AI application. And this system itself is exposed or is potentially exposed because there is a SSH private key which is stored on a system that is internet exposed and has known vulnerabilities. So there are multiple resources that would allow an attacker to compromise your AI application, not because your AI application itself is a direct misconfiguration or at risk, but simply due to that there are resources that are left unprotected, that could lead to the exposure of something else. And
Yeah,
then we are mapping that to the recommendations that you should focus on first in order to prevent this attack to happen in the first place. And so that is a very effective way for the security team to understand, hey, these recommendations are not so much important from a compliance perspective, but they will allow us to prevent certain attacks to happen, as they would stop a certain attack path to occur within our organization. Yeah.
one question just popped up. If I have on premises and I have modules there of AI, would those be also be scanned?
No. So Defender for Cloud is a cloud security capability. So Defender for Cloud does support on-prem protection of Kubernetes clusters, SQL servers, databases, and virtual compute resources. So let's say we can tell you something about the security of the underlying infrastructure, but we are not able to do the same capability on AI models that you may be running on-prem. So that
Okay.
is, yeah, that's not the purpose of the Defender for Cloud, as it is mostly focused on protecting cloud capabilities.
So also not with Azure Local yet.
That
Hard.
is a very good question. Azure Local is, of course, basically Azure in a box. And I'm not certain if that currently supports even AI. I do know that Defender for Cloud components are available in Azure Local. So if that is the case, then yes. But then we are basically talking about an on-prem Azure cloud, private cloud environment. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just one topic left, actually.
Really? Oh, okay.
Security alerts. So the runtime protection. And I know that we are running a little bit over time, so we'll make it very, very quick. Because, like we mentioned, we have runtime protection for AI applications. You will also see that within the AI Foundry capabilities as well, but you also have that available within a dedicated blade for AI applications. So the data and AI blade within Defender for Cloud allows you to get a complete understanding. Hey, what is my bill of material of AI components? So what kind of AI components are we running in cloud and multi-cloud? But as well, what are the alerts that have occurred on my AI application? So, hey, do we have any jailbreak attempts? Where is this coming from? Which user is involved? And even more important, what kind of prompt was actually executed by the potential attacker that was detected as being a suspicious attempt, and an alert. Um, Lastly, on that is what we typically see is that the security teams don't really consume alert telemetry here, but they typically consume it in Microsoft Defender. And so Microsoft Defender is, of course, let's say, the home of Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Office, Defender for Cloud Apps, and so on. But the security incidents that are related to Defender for Cloud, including AI applications, are also streamed into this capability out of the box. So there's nothing you would have to configure for that. It will basically start to flow in this capability. And the purpose of that is that the security team directly can understand, hey, what is being detected on my AI applications? And then potentially link that to alerts that may actually be detected on other components. So think about mailboxes because there's a phishing email going on, or something happening on the Kubernetes cluster, which has been protected by Defender for Container, and so on and so on. And you will see that the prompt information, the evidence, and the response activities are all available within this capability as well. So that was very, very quickly, let's say, the runtime protection part, which is obviously an important component when we are talking about Azure OpenAI protection within Azure Cloud. And with that, I'm done. I promise.
I think we can talk hours and hours, but we have to make it to the end.
Yep.
Um, just one question left. Where do I start if I want to enable this?
Yeah, good question. So a good thing is that Defender for Cloud comes with trial licenses. So if you're new to Defender for Cloud and you have not enabled it before within your environment, you can go to existing subscriptions, and then I'm not certain if I still have an example available here. Then you may see that you have a little gift box close to the next to the little icon. So when you have a little gift box, it means that you can turn it on and you have a 30-day trial, meaning that you could leverage it for free for 30 days. If you leave it on after 30 days, it will start to consume and you will start to pay. And that is applicable for all capabilities. So where would you start? Then you would have to leverage Defender CSPM for getting the posture data. So if you are interested in AI posture security, you can see that here, AI security posture management, and have the integration with Foundry and everything that we just basically talked about, the integration with code to cloud mapping on a DevOps perspective, that's basically Defender CSPM. Then if you are using Azure OpenAI and AI Foundry, you can see that you can leverage the AI servers, which falls under the Cloud Workload Protection Plan. So this is a relatively new plan, which again, you can enable for a trial period, and then you can also configure it to basically stream data into Purview, which is one of the components that we haven't touched on at all. Maybe for another call, another
For another
day,
time. Yeah.
how those components are actually sharing data amongst each other to help customers identify potential data loss and respond to that in real time, leveraging prompts in AI. So that is the Defender for AI service plan.
All right. Thank you for answering that question. Um, I want to overall thank you for the great demo, also for the clear explanation. Looking forward to the next one, I would almost say.
Yeah, yeah,
So when
definitely.
are you available? No, just joking. But maybe we can do another session. For everybody who's joining in or joining later, thank you for watching. Thank you. And if there are any questions, please leave a comment below. And otherwise, I would say thanks again for being part of it for today, Sebastian. And for everybody at home, take care and till next time.
Till next time.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.